Okay, good morning to all of you, dear collaborateurs, académiciens, maîtres cuisiniers, friends and colleagues. My name is Sébastien Beau. I am the President Delegate of the Académie Culinaire of France for the US and Canada. I welcome you and thank you very much for being here today. And I would like to personally thank our speakers for their following presentation. And since we are entering a new phase in the pandemic and in the reopening of our cities and states, we feel like their experience, their knowledge is a valuable asset to our members and friends. I believe we can benefit immediately from their methods, solutions, and anticipate what may become a new way of work. What we are experiencing today, it's not unprecedented, but it's something new and more deplorable, not just on our health, but certainly on our business and on our job as well. Today, we want to help, we want to support and provide solutions with new ideas on how to bring new income into our business. For example, in New York City, a fine dining restaurant has become a delivery company and his entire employees have kept their jobs because they have adapted to a new job. Businesses find new opportunities and new development, and not just for the time being, but also for the future as well. Our members are here to help, and many of us may have solutions, and I really hope today's webinar will be helpful and give you some ideas. I will email you afterwards all documentation on the topics that we will be discussing today. And before I let our Vice President Fabrice Guinchard and Sébastien Canon take over, I wish you all the best. And I wish for all of our industry, businesses, employees, restaurants, hotels, to get back to work as soon as possible, safely and in a full motion. Please be safe and be certain that the Academy is here for you. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you. Fabrice?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. I would like to many thanks to take the time to discuss with us, and thank you very much for the speakers to give us some time, because I know you are very busy. I will try to do that correctly. If not, I will speak in French and Rainer will translate that he proposed me yesterday. we practice in German and French. I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Rainer Zinngrebe, Vice President, Marriott Luxury Brand, and he will explain what he thinks about the situation. And I think about Rainer to ask him, because I know he has some expertise in the past for the webinar, and he does that very, very well. Rainer, it's your time.
So yeah, just to kick this off, I'm assuming everybody can hear me. If you have questions, we want this next couple of minutes or hours be a little bit more interactive. So if you have questions, on the bottom of your screen, there's a little chat window that you can click. And then please, because you're all muted, let's put the questions into the chat box so it becomes a little bit more of a Q&A session rather than just one person talking. And I also think it's good if other panelists can join the conversation if there's topics to be discussed or can be commented on. So I think Fabrice asked me to talk a little bit about the state of the industry and what are we all doing in hotels to, you know, live and fight with the reopening and understand what impact all of this has on everybody. As you know, this pandemic has put a screeching halt onto our industry, right? And this is true for hotels as well as for restaurants across the United States, and not just the United States, obviously. But I think we can start to learn from other countries, and we can start to look at other countries like China, like Germany, like Denmark, France, etc., where things are already a little bit better than they are in the United States, right? And the issues that we're all having to deal with is to first and foremost make sure our employees are safe, right? And our employees, once they're safe, we can ensure that our guests are safe. So the measurements that everybody sort of needs to look at is how do we ensure that we have a safe environment, that we have the appropriate hygiene practices, that we have the appropriate distancing, even in a kitchen. Is there a way to test the employees when they come in, at least for temperature, and making sure that if anybody shows any symptoms of any sickness, never mind just COVID, just send them home, right? I think the second part then is how do you make sure that the guests are safe? You know, what steps are you taking to make sure that you follow the social distancing guidelines? What are the steps that you're making sure that the guests have hand sanitization available? How is the interaction in terms of handling of menus or reaching over guests to serve them? So I think you really have to look at your sequences of service and make sure that anything is thought about, right? I went to a restaurant recently that had a beautiful little touch where the face masks, instead of people putting them in their pockets or leaving them on the table, which is even more unhygienic, they provided little paper bags so that the face masks that the guests were wearing as they walked into the restaurant were then put into a little paper bag so they weren't contaminated with table surface or anything like this, right? So I think the challenge we all have is how do you operate with 50% occupancies in restaurant from a seating capacity perspective? How do you maximize your profits? How do you make sure that the guests feel comfortable coming back to your restaurants? Be it in a hotel or be it freestanding, it doesn't really matter. It's the same dynamic and the same problem, right? So a couple of things that I've seen and I've observed and that some of my friends and colleagues are doing is really thinking really well how to maximize their seating arrangements in their restaurant. And how do you potentially communicate a different way of taking reservations, accepting reservations, maximizing through reservations your seating capacity, right? So in a traditional restaurant, you probably have 2 seatings per night, and maybe you can extend the seating arrangements to 3 a night, and that way you can at least maximize 1 more seating through the evening, and you have to communicate clearly that what you're doing is to help the restaurant and profitability really, and the guest experience, right? So you make 2-hour slots instead of letting people sit longer, and you make sure that the people are well aware of the time limit and adhere to the time limits, etc. Right? So you start at 5:30 with the first reservation and then move on like that if you can. Obviously, some markets don't allow that. If you're in Florida, where your guest profile in a market might be 60 years plus, there's nobody going to show up at 9. We all understand that, right? So, but there's different ways to do this. And really, I think what we're all learning is that you have to be a good business person, even more so today than ever before, right? The margins are already slim. So you have to know your numbers. You gotta know your numbers. You gotta look at alternatives. How do you increase sales outside of your traditional seating, right? And I think Gerard will talk a little bit more about ghost kitchens later and takeaway and packaging and stuff like this, right? So online sales through third-party vendors cost a lot of money. How do you consolidate your online sales through Grubhub or through those organizations that charge you a ton of money, right? What can you negotiate? What is the right company to partner with? Is it Postmates, or is it DoorDash, or is it whoever? And does it run through your website? Does it run through a platform? So there is a lot of stuff you need to investigate to squeeze every little dime out of this conversation, right? Some of you work in hotels. So restaurants and hotels will do comparatively well, in my opinion, especially in luxury hotels that has restaurants that are a little bit more themed, because A, they can absorb a little bit more of the cost structure, And B, I think there's a built-in customer base in the hotel that helps. And C, really, there will be more trust in hotels than in some freestanding. So if you're in a hotel, in a restaurant environment, I think if you have a great concept, I think ultimately you do reasonably well in the short and long term, in the medium and long term. The short term is a little bit of an up and down for sure. The other thing that we talked about in other webinars is really, if you're in a hotel, the one piece of business that will probably stay away for a long time is the group business. The group business is going to be a challenge. The group business of the MICE business, the convention business, that's going to be really difficult until there is confidence in the consumer that they come back into a large room with 500 other people, right? And you look at different ways of serving, you know, buffets with screens and protectors, and more a la carte cooking, I would assume, will happen, or more station cooking rather will happen to build that confidence so that people don't walk past shaving dishes and are exposed to, you know, people coughing and sneezing and whatnot, right? So I think you will also see that the health departments will become a lot stricter on anything sneeze guard related. I think you will see there will be a lot more focus on sneeze guards in every county. Currently, the sneeze guards requirement in the United States are all over the place, right? In some counties, it's pretty leger, and in some counties, it's very strict. So I think you will see there's a move to make that a lot stronger and more stricter in terms of adhering to those requirements. So I think what we're seeing in the United States currently, fortunately or unfortunately, actually, that the luxury resort destinations, or any resort destinations for that matter, are doing really well, especially on longer weekends or on holiday weekends, etc. We have high occupancies, but we also know that now comes August and September where we're going to drop dramatically again, right? And with the increase in COVID cases throughout the Sunbelt states and California and Texas and Arizona, this obviously will throw a wrench into everybody if you have to shut down again, right? But what that does, it gives me a little bit of confidence that the markets will rebound as quick as they can the moment people are allowed to go back out, right? And it's really up to us to build that confidence that the guests are safe. And how do you communicate that confidence? How do you make sure as an operator that you communicate it well on your website, you communicate what you're doing in terms of keeping the guests safe? How do you communicate this really well upon a guest arrival? How do you make sure that there is actually visible clues from a hand sanitization station right at the hostess desk, at the entry points of the restaurant, at the exit points of the restaurant? You're looking at QR code menus, looking at QR code billing, so that you reduce the contact as much as possible. How do you serve wine, right? Traditionally, we would serve wine. The glass would sit in front of the guest somewhere, and we would reach over and pour the wine into the glass, right? Maybe it is better to have the wine glasses on a gueridon next to the table with the bottle of wine, so you don't have to reach out, and you just put it at the edge of the table and the guests hold them and pour it themselves, right? What's your bread service look like, right? Is your bread service an open bread presentation, or do you figure out how to put it in a paper bag, or how do you anything that can convey the psychological messaging of, we thought about this, we are safe, or having your safety in mind. We're doing everything possible for our employees to make sure that they are healthy when they work for us or when they come in. And then really just you know, any physical clues you can give the guest to assure them that they're going to be fine when they eat in your establishment. That's really the key. You know, and there is many other things, and a lot of the suppliers have jumped on the bandwagon here and have tried to figure out what other things can be offered, from plexiglass screens that allow probably a little bit closer seating arrangement in your restaurant by putting these distance spaces in there, like these screens in there between tables, right? There's a company out there that has developed a UV portal. So you walk through a UV light portal that disinfects, I use that loosely here, but it eliminates a lot of the bacteria of the employees when they walk into the building, or the guests as they walk into the building. You can do it on both sides, right? Again, it's probably a 70% effectiveness, so it's not 100%, but it conveys a certain message that you are providing a safe environment for your guests, right? And I think that's going to be important all the way into once there's a vaccine, and then probably half a year later, because not everybody will get a vaccine straight away, right? So I think you're looking at least a year from today that you have to continue to provide assurances to the guests before there is some level of comfort to return to what let's call pre-pandemic behavior, or let's call it normal behavior if you like, but humans ultimately will go back to what they used to do. It might just take a while. So I'm not sure if you have any questions. I know we're sort of to talk 7 to 8 minutes. I guess I'm just exceeded my 7 or 8 minutes a little bit. But happy to take some questions if you can type them in, if you chat them in. The UV company, here somebody's asking is, can you please give me the name of the UV company? I will have to pull it up. Give me a couple of minutes while somebody else is talking, and I'll let you know. They're working together with Fortessa. You all, I'm sure, are aware of Fortessa, the China-wide company. And Fortessa is turning into a partnership with these guys to provide some of these products.
Thank you, Rainer. Thank you, Rainer, for this very interesting information, and it's really appreciated. Chefs, do not hesitate, and teams, do not hesitate if you have some question to ask directly by chat at each chef. I would like now to introduce Chef Gerard Bertholon, CFO from Cuisine Solutions, who will speak about dark kitchen and other options. Gerard, it's for you. Gerard, you're on mute. Gerard, you're on mute.
Good morning, everyone. I want to talk, as you know, Cuisine Solutions, we are specialized in a sous vide, and we've been working with a corporation to minimize the human touch in the kitchen and bring less chef. But today is not the thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about ghost kitchen or virtual kitchen. Many small restaurants are waiting for their business to come back, and is not coming back. So they have to think about bringing new revenues. And even before pre-COVID, the ghost kitchen or the dark kitchen was really starting to pick up. All the major corporations like Chipotle, like Chick-fil-A have been creating some dark kitchen to deliver their product. And I know for Chipotle, because we work with them in Europe, this is the most profitable kitchen that they have in London. So the dark kitchen, for the people who are not aware of it, it's really a location where you're going to have a kitchen, but usually you have no front. You just have a kitchen, so you don't have an expensive real estate, because you can be in the basement, you can be on a part of town where the rent is not expensive. So usually you can save 50 to 70% of your cost. You have really minimum staff to do. And then you, for your delivery, you just work with, Uber Eats or DoorDash or something else. So for our members, who have a restaurant, you can create a a dark kitchen within your kitchen, because right now nobody is busy. And when I talk to some of our members, you know, they say, well, my food is not suited for takeout because I do French food, I do something. The goal is not to do in a dark kitchen what you do today with your restaurant, but is to create some concept who are really easy to carry and it's going to be good quality before you arrive. And then you don't have to create one concept. If you see it's working well, you can create up to most of dark kitchen have 5 to 6 different concepts. With Cuisine Solution, we have created 2 in France, one out of our school, and we do Mexican, we do Indian, we do Italian, Thai, and we're going to add 2 more. And people don't even know it's coming from the same kitchen. There is a dark kitchen, it's called Virtual Sous Vide Kitchen in New York. We've been working with them for about a year and a half. And they have, you can go online and check their website. And they have 1 kitchen and they have 6 concepts. And when people place their order, they don't know it's coming from the same kitchen. So they use the same ingredient and then they just change the garnishes. And it's the same chicken, it's the same salmon, it's the same beef. And then you can do that. So that's one option you can do in your existing customer to bring back revenues. And but if you lost your restaurant or you lost your job and you're looking for something, there is some other option where you can, like United Kitchen, if you go to their website, and I gave all the website, the connection to Sebastian yesterday, so you'll have that in the on the ACF website. You can rent kitchen for by a shift. So if you want to rent it by 4 hours, you want to rent it a whole day or in the evening, and they have everything to support you. They have the dishwasher, they have somebody in media somebody to get the delivery from you. So it's up to you how much you want from the kitchen, but you can rent a space. And out of that, you could rent a space just an evening and run the same thing, 1 or 2 different or 3 different concepts. You're looking at today, all the studies said that our older generation order once a week, and the Gen Z orders 3 times a week at home. They prefer to eat at home than to eat at the restaurant. They feel really comfortable with that. The study said that it's going to be about an $800 billion business of the home delivery. So again, the business is going to take a long time before it comes back to the restaurant. People will feel secure to come back. So that's really a great way to get back to, to bring revenues. We know also that you want to keep the product simple. You don't have, like for us, you can cook everything from scratch yourself, or you can do like what we're creating now with Crea. It's called a dark kitchen. Instead of cooking, you assemble. But it doesn't have to be our product. It doesn't have to be a thing. It could be a cooked chicken, a sauce prepared, because you want to minimize the number of chefs you're going to bring to the kitchen. I was talking to a chef this morning in Las Vegas, and they have a big problem because as soon one person is sick, they have to quarantine the rest of the team. So overnight, they're losing 2, 3, 10 people a night. So the goal now with all the corporation we working with is to minimize the number of chefs you're going to bring back in the kitchen. Mother kitchen in a restaurant are tiny. We all used to work like shoulder to shoulders, and that's not possible anymore. Having distanciation about 6 feet, you will not be able to bring the same number of cook and chef you used to have. So that's an option to look at. There is a lot of great product on the market, from soup to dressing to everything, where you can create a menu. And the good thing is that's going to reduce your waste because you just take out what you need. You don't overproduce because the chef have tendency to overproduce because they don't want to run out. And then you can really calculate your food costs. You have less labor, you have no overtime. If you have a higher number of orders, you just pull more out. So we really have to think about a different way to bring great experience to the consumer. I think I have my 6 minutes or 8 minutes. I don't know if Fabrice, you're keeping a timeline or?
Yes, Gerard, thank you very much.
Okay.
Teams, do not hesitate if you have some question for Gerard. And when we do the recap, if Gerard, if some other speakers.
I put like really like in last couple months, there is a really good article came out. And I gave 4 links to Sébastien. Plus, I put a link of a company called Reef. I'm just going to have 1 more minute. We're starting to work with them. Daniel Boulou is starting to work with them. David Chang just launched a concept with them. So they have a choice. You can run is a container, sea container, is a whole kitchen. And they just bought 450 parking in all the city in America for $1.2 billion. And for them, the rent of those containers in a parking lot is like 60% cheaper than a hotel. And then you can produce, and those parking lots are really situated within like 1 mile to so many millions of people, you know, at middle of Los Angeles, middle of New York. So you can either rent a container from them, or you can work with them where they have central kitchen, where they'll prep their kitchen and then bring the food to you. It's called Reef, R-E-F-F, Reef Kitchen, Reef Technology. It's really a great company. They did testing for COVID. Yeah. They switched, they work in a container even to do supermarket, almost like a 7-Eleven. So that's it. I'm going to stop here, otherwise I'll take too much time as usual.
Thank you, Gerard. It's very interesting. And yes, I invite you to go on Reef because it's an opportunity to speak with Gerard last week, and I check, and it's very, very interesting. And for sure, at the end of this presentation, we will do a recap, and you will receive all this information. I would like now to introduce Jean-Pierre Le Cannelier, CEO from the Butter Book. He will speak today about the future of the training for our staff. Jean-Pierre, it's for you. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Fabrice. Don't forget to mute yourself to avoid the echo. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. As Fabrice said, I'm Jean-Pierre Le Cannelier, and I manage the Butter Book. So first thing, what is the Butter Book? We are a website for all things dedicated to learn about pastry baking and cake decorating. As a company, we're a very, very young company. We started in March of this year, so we're barely 5 months old. And there's been a lot of things that have happened to us. And what I want to do here today is just kind of give you a list of the top 5 or 6 learnings, things that we've understood along this journey. And my hope is these sort of tips or learnings are things that can be useful to you as you think about growing your own business and satisfying your customers in different ways. The first thing is about time and taking the time to build a product that works. In our case, I said we are a very young company because we started in March, but the project really is 3 years old in the making. And it took us 3 years to essentially build that library of content, those video lessons that are the backbone of the Butter Book. We launched with about 150 lessons at the beginning. And we didn't think it would take 3 years to build 150 video lessons. We probably initially thought it would be a few months, but in reality, because we wanted to do it well, it took us a long time, and we wanted a quality product. So part of why we ended up doing it that way is we wanted to make sure that those video lessons were going to hit the mark in terms of being enjoyable, helping you learn a valuable skill, and essentially making you a more confident baker or pastry chef in the kitchen. So that's learning number 1, take the time and launch when you're ready. Learning number 2 is be clear on what you're good at. And in our case, it's teaching people about, baking and pastry and cake decorating. And for the things you're not good at, go find somebody who is an expert at that and have them help you out. And that for us meant finding a company, an agency that helped us build the website. And the website is the vehicle by which you're going to deliver your experience to the end user. So we found a company that helped us go from the vision to essentially creating that website, thebutterbook.com. It does a number of things that are, we think, really important to satisfy the customer experience. One is it's optimized for mobile. Today, half of the traffic in general, and certainly true for us, comes from mobile. So whatever we were putting in front of the consumer had to work on a small screen, on a smartphone screen. There's things, for example, around how we deliver the video content. We use an established platform to make sure that no matter what time of the day, no matter how many people are on the site, no matter where they are geographically around the world, that the video viewing experience is optimized and it's enjoyable. The third learning is, although the backbone for us is the video content, we really took a lot of care in delivering, in putting everything together. And every lesson comes with, for example, a description of the skills you're going to be learning, with written instructions if you want to print the list of ingredients or follow the instructions step by step, not only by watching the video, but also by reading a piece of paper. All that is in there. We organize the information so you can certainly go in and learn to bake one recipe, but there's also a method and there's a progression that we guide you through. So we have both lessons and courses are typically 5 to 6, 7 lessons organized in a certain way. So you're not just, again, learning one recipe, but you're sort of building skills that you can repeat by making other recipes. Customer support is another example. Like, we want to make sure that regardless of the questions, consumers get a quick response. I want to understand, like, if I can substitute this ingredient with this other ingredient, will I get the same result? Or some of the questions are very basic around, how do I log in? Things like that. So all that is part of the experience, and all that needs to be done well, ultimately for you to get the stickiness you're looking for. Learning number 4 is always look to improve and enrich the experience. I mentioned earlier, we launched with about 150 lessons. We've been adding about 1 a week, so we're at 173 right now. So we know that the name of the game is not just convincing people to come in a couple times and so be it. We want them to come back on a regular basis. And how you do that is you are constantly adding things, and you're also using customer feedback to understand the things that they want more of, and the things that aren't as sticky. So whether it's consumers reaching out to us and saying, I'd like to get this kind of recipe, or us, for example, looking at the stats, reading the analytics, and going, what are the lessons that people mostly watch or complete or mostly like? And that guides sort of the roadmap of what we're going to be introducing next. Today, we've got a bank of content that allows us to go into next year, into 2021. And sometime in the second half of the year, we're going to be developing content for the whole of 2021. So we're 1 or 2 steps ahead, because again, we know it takes time to develop content. That's even though the process is getting better and better every day, it's still a pretty big enterprise. So lots of efforts invested there. And my 5th learning is the idea that you always have to adapt. So I talked about always enriching and improving, and always adapting is a slightly different angle here. COVID, for example, and I had to talk about COVID, but COVID was both a blessing and a curse for us. This hit us about 2 weeks into us launching. So we were barely getting going, making sure, everything was operating smoothly. And then we had to pivot. We had to figure things out. because everybody was getting back home and being confined, and it was very weird. So what we did there is we opened up the site for 60 days for free to anybody who would sign up. No credit card required, no upfront payment required. Just come in. We understand people are at home and they have time to kill. And our thing was, look, we want you to just spend some of that time learning recipes for free. That obviously allowed us to get significantly more traffic to the site. And after we turned off the promotion after the 60 days, we've been converting. There's a percentage of people that are actually staying with us and are agree to sort of switch to a pay plan. So whether it's us sort of realizing how to best take advantage, or how to, I guess, not take advantage is a strong way to put it, maybe just maneuver around things like COVID and what it means to our audience. Adapt. Think about how you can change the way you deliver the experience to your users. And you may have started thinking it would be one way, and you essentially have to figure things out on the go and change directions. And that's something we'll keep doing all the time. When you're like us, a small company, you don't have the deeper pockets, you don't have tons of resources. What you do have is the ability to move fast. So reacting or proactively making moves and doing those things fast, I think is part of how we stay competitive. That's it for me. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them, or if not, back to you, Frédéric. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, for your intervention. It was very interesting. I would like to now introduce Ronan Minahan, CEO from Gourmet Culinary, to speak from other solution for the restoration in the future. Ronan, it's for you.
Thank you, Fabrice. So, morning, everybody. And what I was thinking about talking today about was the effects of what we're all facing, and that we really need to start thinking about redesigning our business plan. At the early stages of the crisis of this disease, I think everybody was focusing on these special words of pivoting and adapting to where we'd find new sources of revenue. Something fundamental has changed in the last number of weeks with the resurgence of this disease, and a very strong likelihood that we're going to see a second wave coming at us. So we're in a different stage now, and we need to think about changing from pivoting and adapting to much more of a transition to a whole new strategic focus of our business, of your business model, and what is your new core. That's a fundamental question that as a business owner you need to sort of think about, is what is your new core. There is something fundamental that has changed, and based on all the studies of the consumer, and this is probably the biggest statement for us all to think about the consumer is forever changed, and that is a core fundamental call out. It's not that the consumer is going to revert back to the way they always did in a year's time, or 2 years' time, or 3 years' time. They are forever changed, and it's beholden on us if our business, whether it's a restaurant or a hotel or a large manufacturing company, we have to change with that new consumer, or we miss this opportunity to transition into something that the consumer is looking for. The consumer today, based on all the studies that have happened, the consumer is very confused. They're looking for safety and control, but we all look for. We all look for a meaning and a purpose in our lives. And that's what resulted in the hoarding, the sanitizing, how there's less food waste. We're focusing on comfort foods. The consumer is trying to gain back some control and some safety in their life. They're confused. They're worried about what the future holds. They're looking at more essentials, and the word even essential has significantly broadened in what it means now. What we meant by essential 12, 18 weeks ago is very different to what we mean by essential today. And that has increased the food at home, the the likes of one-stop shop, where previous to this, we did many shops. Now we're doing one-stop shops to limit our social interaction, and even down to looking for more value. You saw today that the CPI is the highest in 8 years. Over 51% of people are saying they're spending more during this time. They're experiencing less promotions. So they're seeking out more value. They're seeking essentials to survive. Consumers are much more focused on their health, functional food, and food as medicine. Prior to this, escalated a topic of competition in the likes of personalized nutrition, biohacking, functional food, food as medicine, restrictive diets, whether they're paleo, vegan, Whole30. The consumer is very focused on their health and how are they going to react to this new disease and what that implications they have on their health. The consumer is more focused again about their community. They're once again seeking belonging in their community. There's a bigger interest in social and environmental issues than ever. The likes of loneliness, people are away from family, there's less religion, there's meritocracy, we're in a neighborless society. 73% of millennials desire a stronger community. The consumer is forever changed. That's the fundamental piece that we need to understand, that they're confused, they're seeking essentials, they're more focused on their health, and they're focused on the community. And I think, Gerard, you mentioned it there about the Gen Z. At this point, the majority of the population, over 51% of our population, is now Gen Z and millennials. So the majority of our population are Gen Z and millennials, and they consume differently. They're the most diverse age group ever in our history. And Gerard, again, as you talked about the cloud kitchens, about how you can look to cuisines, these are the most diverse group. However, their anxiety levels are an acute level. Over 60% of this age group talk about their anxiety levels being at an extreme level because they're on 24/7 news, they're constantly connected, they're getting constant notifications, but they're also much more informed about the way they consume. They understand biohacking, they understand to control outputs in relation to your energy levels and your fitness levels. You have to control your inputs. They're focused on macros, intermittent fasting, CrossFit, cryotherapy, nutronics. They're focused on personalized nutrition. It's no longer general nutrition. It's about what's good for my microbiome. They're interested in mindfulness. They want transparency, whether it's good or bad. They want transparency because it gives them an illusion of control. Knowledge, again, comes back to making them safe. So the likes of share something has GM doesn't actually gives up more at home. So again, it's a free change consumer. And what has COVID done? COVID is just an accelerant. So I say like COVID is an accelerant. It has accelerated the process of this new consumer. And why is that? Is because the adoption of new things are being forced. So whereas normally this would take years to change, this change is being forced on us. And as a result, it's accelerating what was already happening. And therefore this time, innovation, creativity, and reinvention. We have to reinvent ourselves in order to meet this new that has changed. If we reinvent ourselves and not just focus on new streams of revenue, then we have a chance of surviving and thriving through this. There's a real opportunity for those first movers to adapt their business model, find a new core. You can't wish and hope for the consumer to come back to you. You have to find a new core, and then as the consumer comes back, you can supplement it. But you need to redo your business plan. You need to figure out where your revenue and your profit come from in the future. the most fundamental for the restaurant industry is a lot of people are focused on doing delivery or pickup. And that's only one really small component of a business plan. You really need to design an off-premise strategy. You need to redesign an off-premise strategy, which is primarily and potentially for some of you out there, your new core. And to that point is, what is your menu? What food are you going to serve? As Gerard mentioned, it's more likely going to be more prepared foods, more frozen food, so you minimize waste risk, you minimize staffing issues, social distancing. What ingredients are you going to use? How are you going to address the sustainability of what your ingredients are as that new consumer is accelerated? Family meals become more important again. Meal kits are more important. Are you going to serve alcohol? Are you going to deliver alcohol? Amazon don't do it. It's one of the only things they don't do. And you're seeing people who do deliver alcohol upwards of 1,600% increase in their sales because they're delivering alcohol. What they're going to service? What packaging are you going to provide? Is it tamper-proof? Are you giving that confidence to people that your packaging is right? What digital approach are you going to use? What app? Are you offering delivery? And is that internally operated or third party or a mixture of both? During the busy period, are you going to have your own drivers and then supplement that with a DoorDash and a Grubhub and a Postmates to balance out the cost of those third party apps? Are you going to offer pickup? How are you going to deliver that? What staffing levels are you going to have? As Gerard mentioned there, on when somebody turns up to work, how are you going to ensure that those you're not infecting everybody? You're looking at, whereas the employees had single tasks, they're now back to multitask employees. Do we share employees across our partners? How are you going? I think, Rainer, you mentioned about having a third sitting for meal time on in-premise, but off-premise strategy, everybody knows there's a surge during a 2-hour period. How are you going to set up your kitchen in order to deal with that surge? How are you going to offer price, promotions? Is going to be frictional, contactless? How are you going to communicate your safety and your sanitization? How are you going to talk about your community? So it's not just offering delivery or pickup. You need to think about a fully integrated strategy around off-premise. And it is a fundamental shift in your business model.
And I actually,
it's designing a new core.
Can I? One comment. I actually
Go ahead,
think, I actually think, and this just occurred to me, so I'm spitballing here, but I think there's a gap in the market that I don't think a lot of people have explored yet. And that's the difference, or the in-between of a Blue Apron and a full delivery of ready-made food. You know, is there a possibility that you could deliver food that is super fresh, that is like a Blue Apron approach, but that doesn't take 25 minutes to cook at home, but it's something that you could just offer to, you know, finish at home. And that finishing might only be 5 minutes versus the Blue Apron of 20, 25 minutes with a recipe, etc. So I think, it just occurred to me, I think there's really a gap in the market. And if somebody would have a kitchen available and then develop a food and the menu around it, be it Italian, French, Mexican, whatever, doesn't matter, I think, but there's a great opportunity here for capturing a market share that doesn't really exist yet.
There's a great example of Gobble, G-O-B-B-L, West. What you mentioned there, it's 10 minutes, one pan. And most your sides are pre-prepared, key in the one, and your core entree is the piece that you fully prepare yourself. That's arriving to serve. But exactly what you're talking about. Blue Apron too difficult. Gobble is that middle one. So yeah, but absolutely, I think I only think it does the West Coast at the moment.
Yeah, it's only West Coast, and it's still 15 minutes, right? So I think
Yeah.
I think you got to figure out something that's like 5 minutes in a local delivery that people that order delivery don't want to wait after it arrives to have dinner, right? People don't want to have a long period of waiting. So what is the ready-made food delivery, but how do you do it so that it can be even better in quality in a very quick 5-minute setting? And I guess it requires a little bit of thinking here, but I'm sure there's a way to do that.
Yep, agreed.
Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Rainer, for this comments. I would like to introduce now our last speakers, and after we can continue the discussion if you have some question for our speakers. But I would like to introduce Frédéric Cyr, Executive Chef and Culinary Director from the Fairmont, Le Château Frontenac in Quebec. And if you never be there, I would like to invite you to go to visit Frédéric, because he has an amazing place in amazing city. Frédéric is for you.
Hello, it's fun. You finish your to discuss about those bucks, because it's a little what we do. We cook food. It's what I want to explain to you. But we cook. We send things half done. By this way, people can finish it and got the flair of the cooking home without doing the mise en place and all the stuff where it's long and complicated. What we did in Le Château Frontenac, each Christmas time, holiday time, we do meal to go for people. The turkey, little like the Thanksgiving dinner in United States. But at the beginning when I started that, I was doing 20. Now I'm almost 300 in 1 or 2 days. It's around for me $50,000 to $60,000 of sale in 2 days. What I do, I take the order 3 weeks in advance, and I have a pickup date where the people come at the hotel to pick up their meals. And because we had that much success with that, we do Valentine's Day, we do Easter, we do a few different ones. When COVID arrived, we say, okay, can we do like a grocery box for the people each Saturday? By this way we start. I'll just show you a little picture because I cannot share the screen, but you know, we got a little people like that. That's the Wellington one. We do the IT at the hotel, but I send the IT to go at home for people. But you have the IT like that. It was lobster time, but we make a lobster box. We got a lobster box too. And we develop a series of things to send to the people. What is fun for us is because same if I do just 10 or 20 a week, it's easy for me to do. It gave me around $10,000 to $20,000 in revenue a month. And it's a really simple mise en place. It's not things I have to coordinate it all the day long, because I have 3 hours of pickup each Saturday morning between 10 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But that was it's a pretty easy solution to get an income. We'll talk about the hotel business and stuff like that. Me, I have 600 rooms. Normally I do around 80,000 meals a year. I had 25 cook in the kitchen, but it's a pretty big operation. Now I'm really lower than that. I have around 30 people working with me. I have 3 restaurants open, and my challenge is to make sure I'm more profitable with my outlet open than without them. I don't need to make a lot of money out of it, but at least I need to be positive to be open with all my team deployed. That's what I'm doing presently. It's fun because I'm in some kind of urban resort, because in the winter time, I get banqueting business going around, but in the summertime, I got a lot of tourists coming to see the beautiful city of Quebec. Voila. Now, I use those boxes now to you get the idea. You know, that's my pickup of tea times, and if you put in the plate, you get that kind of result. And that's my barbecue box. Like you get the raw meat, but everything else is ready. Like you get the stuffed potato, you put on your barbecue. I gave them the explanation of everything. Now I'm using that for the foundation. All the big dinner we have in foundation here, I make special menu for them. Just for all the different foundation, I have a special menu. But I start to sell thousands of those boxes presently. By my team, I cannot host the guest here, but what I do the box, I take the address of each guest, I take a delivery company who make me the delivery at home for the guests of those company. Like the company want to give present to their family, who want to be present in special occasion with them, like Easter, like holidays coming up, but he buy those boxes from us and we deliver at the home of the employees. Same with those menu, we do also for foundation. If we make a price for, let's say, the breast cancer foundation, and they sell the box with like $20 or $20 benefit for them. But we sell like 1,000 bucks, and they make $20,000 in financing for them, and we produce the box like we do things. And same thing we do. We take a delivery company or like FedEx or stuff like that, but a local one, and they have 2-3 trucks for us, and he come in the morning, pick up the box and deliver in the area. And for the company, sometimes we have to send to Montreal, which is around 3-hour road, and we send also to Toronto, but we charge the delivery to the customer, like the company and stuff like that. It's sure, if people have 1,000 bucks for Toronto, it will be crazy expensive. But if the company send like 500 bucks to haul his performing team, but you have like 100 bucks in Montreal, 200 in Quebec, and 50 bucks in Toronto, and we arranged by flight or things those bucks going around. But that's pretty cool because on my side I expect to sell around $500,000 to $750,000 in those boxes. And I'm now developing, because we have the success with those boxes, I'm now developing, that's just the shape of the box, but we are developing a box like that with a meal done inside. And that's to, if I can, because of the social distancing, I cannot have all the people together, but it can be like 8 or 10 people in each different place and do what we do today, being on Zoom and having a meeting and a lunch and having this discussion with small groups. But I start to get requests for that, but now I'm building this kind of box. I think I have some image for you, but we will do a box like that, like a plateau repas we do normally, is common in Europe, with the things inside. Now I'm starting with a cold selection, but that gives me the chance, if I cannot host more than 50 people at time in my venue for now, at least I can reach them and make my team work. And what is cool with those boxes, normally you get like in each hotel, you get the reservation, you get the order a week or several days before, but you can use all the little time you have between service and restaurant and stuff like that to do mise en place and organize things around those services. Because everything is pre-ordered, That's really easier for me to do. And another thing, yeah, what we learn from it also is, you know, the tea time, the Wellington, the turkey stuff, all those things, all those menus. And like the menu where you get everything almost done, you just put in the oven and you rate it. Those things we already in the past have a lot of success, and we have a good communication with the local market on that. And we try other stuff and it was not working. What the people want from us, I don't know if you know what the Château Frontenac is, but you know, if you have a picture of Quebec City, the big castle on top of the city is the Château Frontenac, it's their hotel. But it's like a character of the city by himself, and the people want what we do normally, and we use what we build with years in the time with the people around. We use those products who are well known, people get in their family tradition or stuff like that, and we take that and we push it in the market. It's nothing new in that, it's pretty classical, but we know we reach them easily. You know where to pick up it, you know the way it's working. And same if I have a small amount of box on a person by person, at least I'm constant. I have a constant communication with those guests who are present for Christmas or present in the big events and stuff like that. By this way, I continue to build my customer bank and everything. When I send a newsletter in the Château Frontenac, I reach 30,000 people in one shot. With time in the hotel, we build, you know, all those communication things to reach our people directly. Okay, that's a pretty good way to do it. Tell you those things like that. Maybe I missed things. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer you. But it's a little thing. What is fun is we take it to replace the volume we miss in banquet, and it start to paying off. And it's a small thing you can and chase in your work a little everywhere. You know, if I have a 10 barbecue box at $180, but you know, it's almost $2,000, and it's somebody, you know, all the staff doing little things everywhere, the box gets ready and you almost don't put it. I think I put a 4-hour guy just to put things together to be sure, but I spread the work on the whole team. Like those $10 cost me the food and the packaging. Voila.
Thank you, Frédéric. Very, very interesting information. And before I give the speak at our president to close, firstly, I would like to many thanks all the speakers, the chef who participate today at this first webinar. It wasn't not very easy, but do not hesitate to communicate some information. If you have some web information, do not hesitate to transfer at Sébastien, and we will place on ACF website. And we will organize another one meetings, webinar, end of August. We will confirm you exactly the day. But if you have some interest, or if you have some speaker who is interesting to speak, do not hesitate to let us know. For sure, we will have one people come from packaging to explain what is the future, because we work with Gerard on a different project, and we know we have a lot of requests from hotels and chefs and restaurants for the packaging. That's why that's something I shared with Gerard a few weeks ago. But we will have professionals from packaging come to explain what we can do and what is the future. Thank you, the French Pastry School, Sébastien, and the team to welcome me today for this webinar. And if you have some other question, do not hesitate to let us know, and I give the speak at Sébastien to close it.
Merci Fabrice. Thank you very much to all our speakers today. I think we have minutes. I don't know if anyone has question for anyone. You can unmute yourself and ask for question, just one at a time, if possible.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Do not hesitate, because for
Anyway,
sure there is some question. Frédéric, how was pétanque yesterday in Grand Cayman? Frédéric is no more with us?
No, he went back to play pétanque.
Yeah, because I know yesterday night he have a big event. He called me and he said, I have a very big event tonight. We organize a party pétanque with Ricard and the French team in Grand Cayman. It's a tough day, I can tell you. See, I saw it, Frédéric. You can tell us what's the day?
One thing I would like to add, we talked about it, Fabrice, you and I, you know, it's every level, just like he explained about the to-go box. Daniel Boulu, I don't know if you're aware of it, does a weekend box. It's 2.5 days. It's Friday. People pick it up, or they can he send a truck to Long Island, and the box is I think it's $600 or $780. It's for 6 people, and you have Friday lunch, dinner, and the brunch, and last time I saw when he was doing it, he had about 40 of them. So imagine it's about $30,000, one truck going and depositing that to the island. But I think it's the only one I see who's, instead of doing 1 meal a night, he's doing the whole package for the weekend. I have a friend also who has a restaurant like that, and he does a meal also for the weekend, not as expensive, but he has like not 1 meal, but 2 or 3 meals. And half of his restaurant is vegetarian. So, and people, you know, in business eat all week long, and they come on Friday and pick up their box to go to their house for the weekend, because they just want to relax. They don't want to cook. And they know the chef. It's a great quality. And just like René said, they still have to put a little touch. He does about 80% of the touch. He might have some fresh pasta to cook à la minute or something like that. Or the fish, you cook it yourself because you don't want it to overcook. But that's another option also to generate more revenues for your restaurant.
Yes, I completely agree. Thank you, Gerard, for this information. And just to complete what you tell, if you have some question about packaging and this idea, do not hesitate to send me an email. I will share with you. We create a very nice PowerPoint. We worked probably for 3 or 4 weeks with few chefs, and Gerard was involved to develop something. And do not hesitate to send me an email. I will share with you also some information concerning new meal solution and packaging. And I saw about a question concerning the fully baked product. Yeah, I know Gerard, I know Ronan, I know some of the speakers develop some things. Same for Griddle, and it's really the future. That's why if you want some idea, please let us know. We have some idea we can share with you. Ryder, Ronan, do you want to add something, Ryder?
No, not really. I just want to make sure that I think this was good stuff. And anybody who has a question, even after this, just don't worry, guys. Reach out, right? I'm sure there's some form of communication that is available here later.
I will send to everyone. I will send all the information and the link to the recording of today, so you can always check that out. And all the information, documentation about the Dark Kitchen, Reef, Frédéric and his packaging, Rainer also. We have some great articles that can help. And I will do a package and a newsletter and send it out to you in a few days. Okay.
One more thing, guys. I forgot. There are a couple of, for those of you who are trying to figure all this shit out on their own, there are a couple of free resources available from chefs and from other people. Street Sense has put out a opening playbook for hotels and restaurants. Fabio Travocchi in Washington, D.C. If you go on his website, he has published a free playbook on how to reopen his restaurant, how he did it and what did he do and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of great information out there for free that people can access by going through the Street Scent site to Fabio Travocchi's site, and I think there's a couple more out there. That's
Thank you. Sebastian, do you want to close, to wrap up? Or do there is some other questions, chefs, on speakers, on people is on the line? Do you have some other question? Ronan, do you want to add something, or is good?
Oh, just thank you very much for this opportunity, and likewise, I think we've all mentioned that as Gourmet Culinary partners, I think what Ryan was saying is resources, we're very happy to support and help in any way we can with everybody who's on the line here today as well, from either our other supply partners or for your establishment. Very happy to try and help you through this difficult time.
Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Ronan. Anyone has more questions? Yes.
You have some question? No.
I think we should all stay in touch, and if you have any idea, anything coming up that on your side that you want to share with us, don't hesitate to let us know, because your input, like I said, can be valuable to our members and our friends and colleagues, so we can share that out. If you hear something, someone's doing something special, we love to hear about it and to share with the Academy and the Maître Cuisinier and all our colleagues everywhere. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Super. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.